In the peaceful town of Evergreen lived a quiet man named Carlos. He enjoyed the simple life in a small cabin at the edge of a big, green forest. Carlos was shy and loved spending his evenings walking along the winding trails surrounded by tall trees. The forest felt magical to him, with the soft rustle of leaves and the cool breeze whispering secrets. It was his favorite place to unwind after a long day as a hard-working carpenter. One evening, Carlos had to stay late at work and didn't leave until the sky turned dark. As he walked home through the forest, the path looked eerie under the moonlight. Suddenly, a strange noise made him stop. It wasn't the usual sound of an owl or leaves moving in the wind. It was a faint, squeaky cry coming from a nearby bush. His heart raced. Was it an animal in trouble? Or could it be something more? Carlos stopped in his tracks, his ears catching the faint, desperate sound again. His curiosity grew as he stepped closer, carefully parting the bushes. What he saw made his heart skip a beat. A tiny bear cub, about the size of a small dog, was curled up near the base of an unfinished building. The little creature trembled, its soft cries echoing with fear and loneliness. Carlos felt a wave of sympathy, but didn't rush forward. He knew well that a mother bear could be nearby, ready to defend her cub fiercely. He scanned the shadowy forest, listening for any movement, but the night stayed quiet, with no signs of a larger bear. Minutes passed, and Carlos began to realize the heartbreaking truth. The cub was alone. Had it been abandoned or orphaned? His mind raced with questions and concern. His compassion overpowered his caution. Carlos crouched down, extending his hand slowly toward the cub. To his relief, the tiny creature didn't pull away. With great care, Carlos picked it up and tucked the trembling cub inside his jacket. Almost instantly, the cub stopped shaking, finding warmth and comfort in Carlos's embrace. With steady steps, Carlos carried the cub home, determined to help it survive. Once inside, he gently set the cub on a soft blanket and prepared a bowl of warm milk. He added a bit of sugar, hoping to make it more comforting. As he placed the bowl on the floor, the cub eagerly crawled toward it, its hunger clear. It lapped up the milk with excitement. Carlos stroked the cub's soft fur, feeling a deep affection. He decided to name it Johno, knowing this moment marked the start of a special bond between them. As days turned into weeks, Johno started to grow stronger in his new home. Carlos fed him milk every few hours using a bottle, and the cub drank it eagerly, sometimes sucking on the empty bottle as if hoping for more. His hunger seemed endless, and with each passing day, Johno grew bigger and more energetic. Not everyone was happy about the new addition, though. Zora, Carlos's loyal dog, didn't trust Johno at first. She would growl and keep her distance, watching the tiny cub with suspicion. But slowly, Zora's curiosity won over. She began to see that Johno was just a harmless, clumsy baby. Soon, the two became the best of friends. They played together in the yard, with Zora running fast and Johno waddling after her in his cute, awkward way. Sometimes, he would trip and fall, but he never gave up. He would always get back up, determined to chase after Zora. Carlos couldn't help but smile as he watched their playful antics. As Johno continued to grow, his needs changed. Milk no longer satisfied his hunger, so Carlos switched to canned dog food. Johno ate it eagerly, his appetite never seeming to end. With each passing day, he grew bigger, and soon, his playful energy caused chaos in Carlos's small home. Furniture tipped over, and toys were scattered everywhere. By the time Johno was 3 months old, he had grown to the size of a large dog. He was no longer the tiny, trembling cub Carlos had found in the woods. As much as Carlos loved Johno, he realized something important. Johno couldn't stay forever. The forest, with its vast trees and open spaces, was where he truly belonged. Carlos knew it was time to let him go. It was a tough decision, but Carlos knew it was the right one. One bright morning, he loaded Johno into his car. The bear, now full of energy and curiosity, fidgeted in the back seat. He whined softly, as if he knew something was about to change. When they reached the forest, Carlos took a deep breath and led Johno into a peaceful clearing. The bear hesitated, looking back at Carlos with wide, questioning eyes. Carlos's heart ached as he knelt down and hugged Johno tightly. The bear nuzzled him, not wanting to leave. With a heavy heart, Carlos stood up and called to Johno. trying to encourage him to go. After a moment, the bear slowly turned and began lumbering toward the forest. Carlos watched him go, his heart full of sadness but also hope. He knew that Johno was meant to live free in the wild, and he prayed the bear would be okay. 3 years passed, and life went back to normal for Carlos. Yet not a day went by that he didn't think about Johno. He often wondered how the young bear had adjusted to life in the forest. Was he thriving? Had he made it? Then, one sunny evening, as Carlos returned home from work, he heard Zora barking loudly. Her barks were full of excitement and alarm. Curious, Carlos went outside to see what was happening. What he saw left him speechless. A massive brown bear stood near the trash cans, towering on its hind legs. Carlos froze, fear gripping him. Bears didn't come this close to the city, and he knew they could be dangerous. His mind raced, but then something familiar caught his attention. The way the bear moved, the look in its eyes. "Johno?" Carlos whispered, his voice shaky. The bear gave a low, joyful growl and dropped onto all fours, slowly walking toward Carlos. It was Johno. Tears filled Carlos's eyes as he realized the once clumsy cub he had cared for had grown into a majestic and powerful bear. Johno moved closer, his size intimidating, but his movements gentle. He wrapped his huge paws around Carlos, nuzzling him and licking his face in a way that only Johno could. Zora barked loudly, unsure of what was happening, but Carlos calmed her with a gentle gesture, his heart full of love and surprise. Johno wasn't a threat. He had come back to visit his old friend. Carlos, feeling overwhelmed with emotion, led Johno to the porch and quickly grabbed some food from the fridge. The bear ate eagerly, his appetite still as big as ever. Once he finished, Johno stayed for a moment longer, gently nuzzling Carlos one last time. As the sun started to set, the bear slowly turned and walked back toward the forest. Carlos and Zora stood quietly, watching as Johno disappeared into the trees, leaving only a trail of flattened grass behind. Even though Carlos never saw Johno again, their special bond remained in his heart. It was a story of love, kindness, and the deep connection between man and nature. A reminder that small acts of kindness can have a lasting effect. That's all for today. Now, it's your turn to share your thoughts about this story. What's the next story you'd like to know? Let us know in the comment section below, and be sure to subscribe so you won't miss any of these amazing videos on The Wild Wonder.